How do you feel when you see these kind of headlines?
Oh, I think it's awful, Charles. And I talk about this precise point in my book. Ultimately, the establishment are going to be hostile towards Bitcoin because they can't control it. Bitcoin is decentralized by nature, it's censorship resistant, and of course, there's no CEO that can control it. This means if we were to live on this Bitcoin standard, where people are trading goods and services in Bitcoin, then it's actually going to dismantle the current system as we know it. And why would they allow that? They obviously wouldn't, because those who control the money control everything. And right now, those who do control the money are having a great time. The system that we have is serving those at the top the most. They can print as much money as they like. They can increase taxes to help pay for the debasement of the currency. So ultimately, why would they want to change a system which is serving them so well?
Right.
Well, the US is absolutely dragging its feet, and I think it's doing this because of the dollar's position. The dollar right now is the world's reserve currency. On a good year before COVID, inflation is just under 2%, which is pretty good compared to the rest of the world. And so we have to understand that. I mean, you use the words, Bitcoin does pose an existential threat to the current system. And so the US is trying to figure out whether, number one, Bitcoin is a fad, because if it is a fad, there's no point adopting it and potentially risking the dollar's position. But the reason they're dragging their feet is because they're trying to find out if it's not a fad, then we really need to get in on this ASAP. And so they don't want to be left behind. And I think we're getting to a point where those at the top are realizing that Australia has its spot ETF, Canada has its spot ETF, and the US really doesn't want to be left behind.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And guys, I come back with that video just to make you think. And they are turning up the Hegelian dialectic. All these mainstream news outlets are pushing us versus them. The narrative that Bitcoin is coming to save the people. But guys, every single funding round, when we look at Bitcoin's white paper, we know that Bitcoin could have scaled. These funding rounds, all the big banks, all the big corporations are funding all these crypto projects. Where do you think all these hundreds of millions of dollars are coming from? The NWO has to have an excuse in order to destroy the US dollar. They're just not going to come out and say, hey, we decided to take the United States world reserve currency and move it over to China, and we made the US dollar worthless. The central banks are not going to tell you that. The Crypto Teacher will, because the Crypto Teacher gives you the truth, nothing but the truth. Yes, the truth hurts, but it sets you free. And unfortunately, guys, no one wants to hear the truth. We can go all throughout history of fiat. It always ends up in zero. But unfortunately, the masses will never understand that because they're too distracted on things that don't matter. But we clearly see America to Babylon is crumbling. Those who are not paying attention to the distraction. We are about 5 to 6 months from another main event. We have midterms coming up, and that's when they're going to put the foot on the gas. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. The government next year is definitely going to shut down. How long is going to shut down? I don't know. But we can clearly see the setup. Also, next year, the currency war begins. And we know China entering into Taiwan starts the first wave of World War III. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you because he knows. When it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Situation. JJ, help me with this. We got Bitcoin on the screen right now. I don't know if you can see it, but we're living at about 40,000 right now, off from the highs clearly. And you could say that correlates with the NASDAQ to some degree. Do you think that correlates with the retail trade, or in some ways has Bitcoin and some of the crypto actually held up better than some of the meme stocks? And what does that say about sentiment right now?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think many of us thought for a long time that Bitcoin was sort of going to be the ultimate retail indicator in many ways. And I think you're seeing that, it's lasting. Two things about that, Andrew. First of all, it shows that there's becoming more acceptance of digital currencies in general, maybe particularly Bitcoin. So more people are holding it in their portfolio. And I think the other thing that's, it is a good indicator, maybe not the best indicator of retail sentiment. And then there's one other point I want to bring up, and that is these retail traders, they haven't necessarily gone anywhere. People are still participating, but they're not necessarily participating at the frequency which they were participating 18 months ago when they had more time perhaps on their hands. The holding periods have become a little bit longer.
We're going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
This effort. And China has big plans for this. They intend to seed their digital yuan into the global environment by giving it away to visitors at next winter's Olympics. When they arrive at the airport, they're going to get yuan digital wallets. They're going to receive digital yuan. They're going to use it throughout their visits to Beijing, and then they're going to take it back to their home countries. They see this as a huge advantage. Why? Because who controls the underlying protocols, who controls the underlying standards of the future of money will control the future of money.
Powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids' books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.